Всем доброго времени суток, с вами Kerrgan, я продолжаю проходить Dragon Age Inquisition. Давайте со всеми поговорим. Например, с Виви. Виви, что думаешь про магов?
If Fiona and her malcontents are joining us as allies, we need to be prepared. Abominations are inevitable. Cullen doesn't have enough Templars to handle incidents. Some of the rank and file need to be trained.
Маги под контролем.
We can handle the mages. There's no need for Templars.
Have any of these men faced an abomination before, my dear? Have you? The veil is broken, and the raw power of the Fade rushes out like floodwaters through a shattered levee. You know as well as I do that mages attract demons where the veil is thin. And if demons can walk our world with no blood magic to summon them, how safe do you think our allies are? There has never been a greater threat to mages than the breach. Until it is closed, no one is safe.
Вы магам не доверяете?
You have a low opinion of your fellow mages.
It's not so much an opinion as grasping the obvious. Magic is dangerous, just as fire is dangerous. Anyone who forgets this truth gets burned.
Храмовники — это не решение.
You're right, but Templars are a poor solution.
They are men, and all men are flawed. That some fail does not mean that none should try. The fact remains that there is no cure for an abomination except death. Someone must strike the killing blow. Who shall lower the blade if not a Templar? Tell me something. You said once that you wanted to change things. What future would you build for mages?
Церковь их.
Mages shouldn't be kept out of the chantry. Who knows the dangers of magic better than a mage?
A curious idea. Such twists and turns your mind takes. It's something to consider, my dear.
Мы устроим мощную магократию. Буга-га-гагашки. Пойдемте поговорим с Жози.
The Inquisition appreciates your assistance in this matter, Lady Corbin. And my miners appreciate your business. You'll have your Illyrium by the end of the week. I should tell you, Ambassador, the Chantry raised some fuss when they learned about our arrangement. The Inquisition must certainly seem an audacious idea to the Grand Clerics. We hope to convince them it is a necessary one as well.
Меня, у тебя есть какие-то темы?
Can I help you with something?
Нет, пока.
I'll speak with you later.
Travel safely.
Магов в церковь или магов на свободу? Жози.
I'll take my leave. Good day.
Who was she, Ambassador?
A merchant. I thought we should reach out to the dwarves to secure lyrium for the Inquisition's mages. According to Lady Corbin, it raised the ire of the Chantry.
How?
Access to lyrium makes us rather more formidable than anticipated. We're becoming a challenge. Sadly, the remaining Grand Clerics appear to be consolidating the Chantry's power instead of comforting the masses.
Ощущение сейчас, знаешь ли, важно.
The Chantry should be a place of hope, not another group scrambling for answers.
That must be its strength again. The Chants did much to bridge nations. Little but the Chantry ties Orlais, Nevara, Ferelden, Antiva, and even Rivain to a common cause.
Has the Chantry truly promoted such peace?
Andrasti's chant is familiar across kingdoms, a source of many shared customs. That is the crucial point. Common ground is the start of all negotiations.
И начало разногласий. Это
Are you
церковь.
sure? Families often fight the hardest.
Having grown up among four siblings, I concede your point. I found, however, that the only time two parties cannot negotiate is when they cease to speak. We must learn to think beyond our own wants, to secure peace in Thedas.
How did someone so lovely and selfless go into Orlesian politics, Lady Montelier?
Well, that is, really, you give me too much credit. While you're here, I do have a question. The remaining Grand Clerics sent a missive inquiring about the events at the Temple of Sacred Ashes. They demand to know whether the Inquisition officially claims that Andraste saved you from the breach. If it were up to you, how would you reply?
А ты что скажешь?
Will my answer change your reply to the chantry?
If Liliana, Cassandra, Cullen, and I could agree on our official stance, I could answer that. We should decide soon. The revered mothers don't seem to know what to make of you.
Я не святая.
I'd tell the chantry I was saved by circumstance, not divine intervention.
Yet as rumors your Andraste's herald grow, the Grand Clerics may not believe such a humble reply. A difficult situation, and I thank you for your answer. A good day to you.
Жози поговорили. Так, нам еще осталась целая толпа. Где обитает Дориан? Пойдемте искать Дориан, потому что с ним будет много можно поговорить. С Лилькой, которая скажет, которая, если помнит, это будет сейчас жопа, потому что она психованная будет в усмерть. Паучьи внутренности. Фу. Гадость. Лиль, привет, Лиль. Хочешь поговорим?
Your open support for the mages likely earned you enemies. Our agents will monitor the situation. If the most opposed can be identified, we may still turn this to our advantage.
Ищи пользу.
Always looking for some way to benefit, aren't you?
It's what I'm here for. Regardless, I applaud you for the courage to stand up for the mages.
А ты решилась погибнуть за меня?
In Redcliffe, you sacrificed yourself so that I could return here.
Of course I did. One small life in exchange for a second chance at history. I always loved a bargain.
You were condemned to a lightless dungeon. Not much of a life to sacrifice.
And I would do it again.
Что-нибудь новое?
Anything I should know?
Tegan has returned to Redcliffe Castle and resumed his duties as lord. The people are returning, slowly but surely. Unfortunately, our show of support for the mages has angered many.
Пока.
I'll leave you to your work.
Я пошла говорить с остальными.
We can get that for you right away, sir.
Варик.
The Mage Rebellion joins the Inquisition. I've got to admit that's a twist I didn't see coming. One thing you saw in the future worries me. I mean, it was all bad. But Red Lyrium and Ferelden, infecting people and growing out of them, that's bad. Finding more of it really punches a hole in my Red Lyrium at the temple was a coincidence theory.
Он быстро растет.
How long does it take for Red Lyrium to grow? How fast can it spread?
It took years to infect people in Kirkwall, but no one there was actually ingesting the stuff. This Elder One managed to take the worst thing I can think of and make it worse. That's an accomplishment.
Будем надеяться на лучшее.
I'd like to keep hoping it's a coincidence, if you don't mind. I need to be able to sleep at night.
Honestly, I think I'll give up sleeping for the foreseeable future. I've got people trying to find out where the red stuff came from. I think maybe we should make that a priority. But that's enough doom and gloom. You just won a big victory for the Inquisition. What are you going to do to celebrate?
Праздник!
That's a good point. We should celebrate. A banquet? Something like a banquet?
Word to Josephine, and I bet she could arrange anything.
Банкет!
Things should be calm around here for at least the next hour. Take a moment to enjoy it. If the world's about to end, I'm sure the Seeker will let us know.
Так, с Вариком мы поговорили. Пойдемте поговорим с Сэрой. Бедная Сэра. Надо ее успокоить.
Well, that's mages all over. So many roads. I bet all of Ferelden lost their curtains.
You think entirely
Just
too
be the
much
other side of
about
me.
that elf, Sarah.
Just in case.
I can't help it. I've got
Не любишь магов?
I
Do you have a
suggest
problem with our new allies? With mages?
not one of the
No problem with
magic
mages.
elves. She's one of the normal
You're
dirty
fine,
ones.
right? My problem is magic.
Ugh.
If mages sat on their hands, everything would be fine. I mean, yay, freedom. Great for them. Over there, away from me.
Ну, я тебя не отвлекаю.
I'll be back if I need you.
Go on.
Так. О, Дориан вон тут бы. Солос, привет, Солос.
So we have gained the mages. Greetings.
А чё у меня вылетело из
We'll talk
договора?
Goodbye.
Кажется, не хочешь со мной разговаривать. Разговор о Майе. Дориан.
The Inquisition supports free mages. What's next? Elves running Hallam-Sharal? Cows milking farmers?
Ты не против?
I take it you don't agree.
On the contrary, I approve. Heartily. I do wonder if you've considered what this support of yours will do. For mages in general, I mean. The Inquisition is seen as an authority. You've given southern mages license to, well, be like mages back home.
Ну,
If that means they're anything
Дориан,
like
я
you,
буду к тебе клеиться.
I approve.
Я знаю, что ты не по девочкам, но я
There
буду
aren't
к тебе
many mages back
клеиться.
home like me.
I'd believe that.
I never fit in. Bloodstains are so difficult to clean, you see.
So we're doomed to a future of blood magic then.
Not at first. But you'd be a fool not to see where this could lead. Thing is, the Imperium was once just like the South. Templars, proper circles, all that rot. Then it changed. By inches. Not that this is reason to oppress us. Still, my homeland should be a cautionary tale, not a source of inspiration.
Вилла Лексиуса.
Have you gone to see Alexius yet? He's in the cells.
Not yet, no. I saw him before they locked him up. He looked despondent, broken.
Сходим, поговорим с ним.
Not the man I remember, nor the one I want to. I suppose the Inquisition will judge him eventually. I wonder if there's any chance they'll show him mercy. He hardly deserves it, but for Felix's sake. I can't help hoping there's something left of the man I once knew.
Можешь с тобой еще поговорить?
I assume you're Talbashot or something like it.
Why would you assume that?
If you weren't, you would have split my skull open at our first meeting before I said a word. Centuries of warfare with the Kunari do lead to this state of affairs.
Ты раньше встретил Кунари?
You've encountered Kunari before.
Kunari raids are rather old hat for anyone from the Eastern Imperium, although the attacks aren't quite the rampaging wars of ages past. Now we're like two angry dowagers who only remember to spit at each other when they pass on the street.
Did you meet any Kunari personally?
None who weren't rushing towards me with a sword. I was too busy looking in the other direction to say hello. I've met some Talbashot in my time, however. Mercenaries and a few merchants. They're not the same as Kunari. Might easily be a different people altogether.
Вы поладили?
No one in Tevинтере has issues with Talbashot?
I didn't say that. Prejudices are deeply rooted back home. But I have more sympathy than most. I also have an appreciation for an entire people who are so muscular. A personal failing, some would say.
Если претензий нет, то...
If you've no problem with me, I've no problem with you.
A philosophy I've learned to live by.
No issue with my being Inquisitor then?
None that specifically involve you being so very, very large. No.
Good.
Расскажи о себе.
It occurs to me that I barely know anything about you.
Beyond my being a mage from Tevinte, you mean?
Beyond that, yes.
And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone.
Очевидно, ты очень
I'm well aware of
симпатичный.
your finer qualities. Believe me.
Of course you are. You're a discerning and intelligent woman, aren't you? Now, what was I talking about? Ah, yes, me. I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinte in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my choices.
Племенного
What
разведения.
did you mean by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinte don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other. They wanted a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium. They got me. A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
Твоя семья на тебя злится?
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see?
Не хочешь вернуться?
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Tevinter?
I'm not exactly welcome back home. Not that it matters, I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm. I can do more for Tevinter here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some magisters would disagree, but that's why we kill them.
Тебе не нравится Тевинтер?
I'm getting the impression that you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Canary can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
Почему тебя это волнует?
It just seems so much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Tevinter is where Thedas truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care deeply about everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
I think I've heard enough.
That's too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
Расскажешь об Империи?
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathus. That's madness. Alright, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
Магия действительно правит?
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
Strange? Why are you less qualified to rule than some tart with a fancy craft? Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
Магистериум?
What is the magisterium exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinte mage.
А ты кто тогда?
If you're not a magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
Альтус это?
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later, lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
А как же
I
Архон?
thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinte influence, let me tell you.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Это так?
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter's legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing?
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
Расскажи-ка мне про рабство.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And? Did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. Not even
У
certain
Федриса
slaves.
возникло. Здесь не так.
Well, we don't have slaves in the south.
In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
I suppose not. No.
Ну, в какой-то степени он логичен.
True. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
У вас есть церковь?
There's an imperial chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Is the imperial chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
Круги.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium?
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers.
They don't use lyrium?
Ha! As if there'd be any left for them. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce their magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
Кто такой черный жрец?
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So, the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
А ты что-нибудь веришь?
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the south. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
Ты прав.
I share your opinion, actually.
Я вообще кунари.
Considering what the Inquisition represents. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry.
Когда ты жила, Андрас? Нахрена эта церковь?
In me?
Сделаем как в Тевинтере. Чтобы правили маги.
Cassandra is not wrong. You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
I'm not sure about that myself.
Я нихрена не знаю.
I like doubt. It will keep you sane.
Я немножко тупенькая, Дориан.
I've seen too much to believe I know everything. The world is bigger than I, even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe, but I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
Тевинтере может быть нам союзником?
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, you've had it easy for far too long. Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
Это не так.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
А у вас много магов крови?
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all?
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion too. Of course, what people call blood magic here and what we consider blood magic are two different things.
What's
Рассказывай
considered
давай.
actual blood magic in Tevinterre?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a Magister who makes noise, and then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that Magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprised it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariah.
Ну, пока.
That's all I wanted to know.
Спасибо за разговор, Дориан.
I should go.
Try not to die. I would notice you were gone.
Дориан классный. С кем пойдем поговорить? С кем пойдем поговорить? С Серой говорили, с Лилькой говорили, Вариком говорили. Пойдемте поговорим с Кэс. С Кэс, этим Калином, коленом. С Блэквеллом. Дайте мне выйти. Так, там Блэквелл. А, это Крем.
Nice work at Redcliffe. I could help the mages learn to work with Inquisition soldiers if you like. Not that the chief has any apostates in the group.
Ну, пока.
We'll talk later.
Бык, что скажешь?
So, that Tevinter guy sent you into the future?
Это странно.
Every time I think I understand magic, the rules change.
And you're a mage, so that's saying something. Anyway, I hope our new friends have what it takes to close the breach. Damn thing gives me a headache just looking at it.
Бык в ахуе.
Good day to you. We've gotten a new shipment. You'll have what you need.
Good. Your quartermaster's keeping this place running.
I'll pass on your thanks, Master Harry.
Ребят, тут где-то у вас должен это стоять. Ну, это совсем хреновая куртка. Я хотя бы сейчас в приличный хожу, а вот эти... Ой! Так, сейчас я все это попродаю. Думаю, мест нет. Шлем пригодится, детали. Материалы для другого нужны. Блэквелл, что скажешь?
There was never going to be an easy answer to the mage dilemma. What you did for the mages took courage. You gave them a chance.
Ну, у него логика серого стража. Что маги это заслужили. Я не самое умное создание. О, ты с кем-то разговариваешь, Кассандра? О, маг.
And what are we supposed to do, exactly?
What you always do. Complain.
We've already spoken with Commander Cullen. No one listens. We want better quarters. We want the Templars kept at a distance. And some respect for...
This is not the Circle. You mages are our allies, not our wards. Act like it.
How are we supposed to...
Deal with it.
Суровая.
It never ends, evidently.
Is there an issue with the mages? Can I help?
The mages are here as equals. They need to get used to what that means. It is your doing, after all. You created this alliance.
Я старалась.
I had to think on my feet, and I did what I could.
Oh. I do sound like I'm blaming you, don't I? I don't disapprove. In fact, you did well. You made a decision when it needed to be made. And here we are. I wish I could say this was my doing.
Подлиза.
You're flattering me.
I'm not. This always happens. Nobody ever takes my meaning.
You should see your face.
I'm thinking less flattering things now. Let's hope the breach has your sense of humor.
Ну, я знаю, что к Кассандре не подкатишь. А к тебе не хочу подкатывать.
The mages are ready to approach the breach. I pray this will be enough to close it.
Дай мам шанс показать тебя.
I know you're worried about having the mages here. Give them a chance to prove themselves.
I'm not questioning their ability or their intentions, but we cannot ignore the risks. I will not endanger the alliance you've created. We need their help. Any precautions taken will be to ensure the safety of our people and the mages themselves. Nothing more.
Пока.
That's all for now.
Не, ты мне не интересен.
See reason, Lisette.
Word
We
is
cannot
that the
stay here.
mages will be joining us here in Haven. I hope you've chosen your allies wisely, Herald.
До
I will
свидания.
talk to you later.
Walk in the Maker's grace.
Давайте попробуем поговорить с магистром, который сидит в подвале. Вроде мы поговорили со всеми моими союзниками. Надо поговорить вроде с магистром. И уже прекращать серию. Где у меня тут тюряга? Вот тюряга. Ой! Это было больно, наверное. Там никого нет. Я не умею вскрывать замки. Чего все камеры пустые? Нет его тут, обманули. Меня нагло обманули. Тут никого нет. Серьезно? Ай. Вы меня обманули. Ладно, давайте на этом с вами прощаюсь. Всем спасибо за внимание. Ставим лайки, подписывайтесь на канал, оставляем комментарии. Всем пока-пока. Увидимся в следующих видео.